The legend of Blackwood Forest was whispered throughout the neighboring towns. It was a tale passed down through generations from grandparents to grandchildren. It was a story of a haunted forest, home to a rotten corpse that haunted hikers who dared to venture there at night. Blackwood Forest was vast and dense, filled with ancient oaks that cast eerie shadows under the moonlight. In the heart of the forest stood a long-abandoned cabin, rotting away with the dark secrets it held. The story began with a man named Walter Blackwood, who had lived in the cabin in the 1800s. He was a recluse, shunned by the townspeople for his dark demeanor and unsettling appearance. They called him Old Man Blackwood and whispered stories of his alleged wickedness. One stormy night, a group of hikers sought refuge in Old Man Blackwood's cabin, unaware of its sinister past. They were never seen again. The townspeople were too afraid to search for them. It was said that a vengeful spirit now haunted the cabin and the surrounding forest. In the present day, a group of 5 friends decided to test their courage by venturing into the haunted Blackwood Forest on a hiking trip. They were well aware of the legend, but they dismissed it as nothing more than an old wives' tale. Armed with flashlights and tents, they set out at dusk, eager to disprove the myth. As night fell, a dense canopy of trees shrouded the forest in darkness. The friends felt an increasing sense of unease, as though they were being watched. The air grew colder, and the wind howled through the trees, sending a chill down their spines. They finally found a clearing and decided to set up camp for the night. They gathered around a warm campfire, trying to shake the creeping feeling that something was lurking just beyond the light. As the friends settled into their tents, they heard strange noises in the distance. The sounds were faint at first, like rustling leaves and snapping twigs, but they grew louder and more distinct. It sounded like footsteps slowly approaching their campsite. The friends huddled together, fear gripping their hearts. The footsteps stopped just outside the circle of light cast by the campfire, and a figure emerged from the shadows. It was a rotten corpse, its flesh hanging in tatters, its eye sockets empty, black. The friends screamed in terror as the corpse raised its arms and let out a guttural, inhuman moan. It advanced on them, its movements jerky and unnatural. The friends scattered, running for their lives, a putrid stench of decay filling their lungs as they fled. The corpse, now known as the rotten Wraith, pursued the friends relentlessly through the dark forest. Its chilling moans and the stench of death followed them wherever they went, always just a few steps behind. The friends were separated, each one separately trying to find their way back to each other and out of the cursed woods. One by one, the rotten Wraith caught up with them. The first friend, the most skeptical of the legend, tripped and fell, and the Wraith was upon him in an instant, its cold, rotting hands gripping his throat as he gasped for air. The second friend, the bravest of the group, tried to fight the Wraith, but his blows merely passed through its decaying form. The Wraith enveloped him in its chilling embrace, draining the life from his body. The 3 remaining friends, terrified and desperate, managed to regroup at the abandoned Blackwood cabin. They had nowhere left to run, and the rotten Wraith was closing in. They entered the cabin, hoping to find a way to stop the malevolent spirit. Inside, they found Old Man Blackwood's diary, which revealed the terrible truth behind the legend. Blackwood had been a necromancer, dabbling in dark magic and using the souls of the townspeople to prolong his own life. The rotten Wraith was his final creation, a twisted manifestation of his own evil, rotting soul. The friends discovered that the only way to stop the Wraith was to destroy the source of its power, the ancient oak tree that stood in the heart of the forest. As the rotten Wraith battered down the cabin door, the friends ran to the tree, their last hope for survival. With their combined strength, they managed to topple the massive oak, severing the Wraith's connection to its dark power. The rotten Wraith let out a final, furious scream before its decaying form crumbled to dust, banished to the shadows from whence it came. The friends, exhausted and traumatized, made their way back to the edge of the forest as the first light of dawn broke through the trees. They survived the night and put an end to the curse of the rotten Wraith. Word of the friends' harrowing experience spread throughout the neighboring towns, and the legend of the rotten Wraith of Blackwood Forest was finally laid to rest. The forest, no longer shrouded in darkness and fear, began to flourish once again. Life returned to the once cursed woods as birds sang and animals roamed freely. The friends, forever changed by their encounter with the Wraith, vowed to never forget the horrors they had faced. They became advocates for preserving the history and folklore of their region, ensuring that the stories of the past would not be forgotten. As for the abandoned Blackwood cabin, it was eventually reclaimed by nature, its crumbling walls and rotting floors consumed by the very forest it once haunted. And deep within the woods, at the site where the ancient oak had once stood, a new tree began to grow, a symbol of the forest's rebirth and a testament to the power of friendship and courage in the face of darkness. In the years that followed, hikers would venture into Blackwood Forest no longer fearing the legend of the rotten Wraith. Instead, they would share stories of the brave friends who had faced their fears and triumphed over evil, ensuring that the spirit of Blackwood Forest would live on for generations to come.